In the fall of 1982, Andy Warhol, the pop art maestro with a flair for the dramatic, boarded a plane to China. Nah, not for a vacation, but for a business trip that promised to be more colorful than a rainbow in a paint factory. Picture this: a young, starry-eyed Chinese businessman dreaming of blending East and West like a cosmic smoothie convinced Warhol to come along for the ride. Little did Warhol know, this trip was about to become a roller coaster of epic proportions, setting the stage for an artistic saga that would be talked about for centuries. On October 27, 1982, Andy Warhol, along with his photographer Christopher Makos, his business manager Fred Hughes, and Fred's outrageously flamboyant friend Natasha Grenfell, boarded a Pan Am flight from New York. At the time, Pan Am was the equivalent of flying in a five-star restaurant with wings, complete with gourmet meals and flight attendants who could serve caviar with one hand while calming a screaming baby with the other. Their destination? Hong Kong. This trip was made possible thanks to an invitation from Alfred Sue, who commissioned portraits of Prince Charles and Princess Diana for his soon-to-be legendary nightclub called I-Club. Upon arrival, the motley crew found themselves amidst a whirlwind of neon lights and chaotic charm. Sue's I-Club was the epitome of cool, promising a nightlife experience that combined Warhol's art with a disco ball that could probably be seen from space. Back in the States, Warhol found himself as fortunate as a lottery winner, scoring portrait commissions from wealthy Chinese clients he'd crossed paths with in Hong Kong. Upon arrival, Sue dropped the bombshell that he had pulled off a VIP extravaganza, a whirlwind tour of Beijing, complete with the Forbidden City and the Great Wall. It was like Christmas in July for Warhol, who was about to embark on his first and, let's be real, probably only journey to the Chinese mainland. For Warhol, Beijing hit him like a psychedelic kaleidoscope. From the moment he saw Chinese characters on the plane to spotting unfamiliar cars and catching whiffs of unfamiliar scents, every sensory detail screamed unusual in Warhol's famously pop-colored world. Andy was a peculiar personality, quieter than a mime in a library. The team knew he was about as introverted as a hermit crab at a rock concert. He leaned heavily on Chris Makos, that hilarious bouncy ball of energy. Andy wasn't exactly thrilled about having a film crew dogging his every step. He was more of a voyeur, used to being behind the lens, not in front of it, trying to soak in China's vibes, and he found himself dodging more microphones than a politician on the campaign trail. They kept telling him to stand here, pose there, and secretly, he kinda dug it. Of course, he wasn't about to show it, but deep down the attention was like glitter on a birthday cake, utterly irresistible. He was gobsmacked by China. It was like the United States on a cosmic prank day. Everywhere you looked, it was a sea of bicycles like Tour de Chaos, people balancing stuff on their heads like it was the new hip fashion. And oh, the queues for food were longer than a slow-motion race. But wait, there's more. Forget electric stoves, they were burning coal and charcoal like it was the latest trend in air pollution chic. The atmosphere? Let's just say it was as grey and heavy as a concrete sandwich. Intense? You bet your fortune cookie it was. While Warhol was reigning supreme back home like the king of pop art, in the People's Republic of China, the 54-year-old artist might as well have been mistaken for Bigfoot riding a unicorn, utterly unknown. China had just pried open its doors like a treasure chest full of kung fu pandas, ready to surprise the world with its cultural wonders. But for some bizarre reason, a few Chinese actually recognized Andy, leaving us more puzzled than Bigfoot at a hair salon convention. This distinctive artist stood out in a crowd because he looked as out of place as a penguin in a sauna, not because they remembered him as the guy who painted those portraits of Mao. Yes, those Mao portraits. Back in '72, when Nixon was doing his ping-pong thing in China, Warhol thought, why not make Mao the next big thing outside of Hollywood? He took the chairman's iconic image, slapped on some wide, colorful brushstrokes, and drew lines like he was playing connect the dots with a twist. Suddenly, Mao was hotter than a dragon's breath in a chili-eating contest, making irony fashionable faster than you could say, cultural revolution chic. Whether by design or cosmic coincidence, Warhol's works became the accidental poster child for China's "Let's Be Friends with America" campaign. Yet, here's the kicker. Those iconic images were about as popular in the PRC as a barbecue in a vegan convention. They had to skip them like a bad blind date at the latest Warhol show. Fast forward a decade from the Mao Mania, and Mako snaps Warhol posing like he's about to drop the hottest album of the century in Tiananmen Square, right in front of the original masterpiece. Andy actually thought the real Mao portrait was the bee's knees, totally bowled over by its authenticity. They were all in awe of it. Andy went full-on Mao madness, painting the chairman about 400 times. He turned it into a challenge, seeing how many he could knock out in a single day. It's the whole copycat and cookie-cutter vibe that really makes Warhol in China hit home. He was Mr. Multiplicity, and here was a whole culture built around the same idea. Like a Steve Jobs wardrobe closet, it was minimalistic yet iconic. Just swap the black turtlenecks for soup cans, and you've got a pop art pantry. Andy thrived on the isolation, especially when it came to fashion. It was like a fashion apocalypse with everyone rocking identical navy blue suits. Their isolation meant they had no clue about style, so it was all gut instinct, like a red carpet event where every A-lister accidentally showed up dressed as Steve Jobs, thinking it was a tech-themed Oscars. It's a sentiment echoed by Warhol, who cherished his copy of quotations from Chairman Mao, aka the Little Red Book. He devoured its simple thoughts like they were the secret sauce to avant-garde art. Blue became his color crush, so much that everyone decked out in azure made him feel like he stumbled into a Smurf convention. Andy was the king of consistency, rocking the same outfit day in, day out like a fashion-forward cartoon character on a budget. If he ever dabbled in dress design, you can bet your best brushstroke he'd sketch out the same dress over and over, because why fix what ain't broke? Here's the guy who turned Campbell's soup cans into high art, all about embracing life's multiplicity, and here he was in a country where that was practically the national motto. Ironically, Warhol sported the same outfit every single day in China, even bunking down in it at night. Not for style points, mind you, but for hygiene. He griped that the Peking hotel, their home base with Marcos, had more cockroaches than a New York City diner at midnight. If Warhol had a say in the Mao era, the Chinese authorities weren't exactly thrilled with his take. By 1982, younger artists were catching the Western art bug, but lo and behold, the government launched an anti-spiritual pollution campaign. They defined spiritual pollution as everything from stuff that's downright scandalous to anything that smells like Western art, with a twist of individualism, anarchism, and liberalism. Basically, a cocktail they weren't keen on sipping. Contemporary art got slapped with the bourgeois label like it had stumbled into a snooty art critique. And then, boom, exhibitions started getting banned faster than a daredevil on a pogo stick. While Warhol professed a fondness for China's simplicity and conformity, he couldn't shake off the absence of the usual cultural icons and convenient lifestyle that his works often reflected. Andy actually asked, "Where's the nearest McDonald's?" when we were in Beijing, Marcos recalled with a chuckle. And at the Great Wall he was like, "Hey, where's the escalator around here?" Perhaps the most surprising thing about these images is seeing Warhol in full-blown tourist mode. In China, he's just another guy, a man behind the lens, no longer the icon gracing magazine covers, no longer the center of the universe. Some of these shots could pass for your average holiday snapshots. Changes were already stirring, just as Warhol predicted. When he first heard there was no McDonald's in Beijing, he quipped, "Oh, but they will. You can't keep the Golden Arches away forever." Scaling one of the world's greatest heritage sites, Warhol compared the Great Wall to a landmark closer to home, like the Empire State Building, but with more steps. It showed his relatable side as just another curious tourist. These moments gave us a clear view of Warhol beyond the artist, more like a wide-eyed explorer than a pop art maestro, clicking away with his Chinon camera while wandering the Great Wall and Ming tombs, like any tourist on a mission. With a faint wrinkle on his forehead and those ever-focused eyes peering through round spectacles, Warhol didn't just feed his obsession with looking. He paradoxically became the subject of scrutiny himself. Each snapshot not only captured what Warhol saw, but occasionally captured people catching him in the act of looking back, His love for repeating patterns is so strong, it's like he sees life through the lens of a kaleidoscope. Imagine him, gawking at the endless cobblestones, deciphering the abstract scribbles of Chinese calligraphy, and eyeballing folks in their Mao suits, all while sniffing more incense curls than a temple on fire. To Warhol, this wasn't just China. It was a wild ride on a magic carpet of quirks and coils. After visiting Beijing, Warhol's worldview got more layers than a Russian doll on vacation. Suddenly, his art wasn't just about soup cans and Marilyn Monroe. It was like he plugged into the matrix of global vibes. Now, his stuff spoke to folks from Manhattan to Mongolia, proving Warhol was the ultimate art influencer before influencers were cool. How do you feel about Andy's adventure in Beijing? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this ride, smash that like button and hit subscribe faster than a ninja on roller skates. I'll catch you in the next one.